has safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. We have made it to Friday. Jo here at SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. I hope everyone's day has started off wonderful. We had a huge slate in the NHL last night, and we walked away with some winners. Let's do it again today. We've got 6 games on deck, and we're going to kick it off. Firstly, with the Seattle Kraken, a team that I've been fading over their last couple, and I tell you, this team has been coming out so strong. Can they do it today on the second night of a back-to-back? Hasn't been a great angle for them on that second night of a back-to-back. If you've been betting them, they have struggled in not being able to get those wins. So let's get to it, you guys. Vinny, thank you for being here today. The Seattle Kraken, all odds are over on FanDuel, you guys, are coming in as a $2 underdog. They're plus 205 here on the money line. We have the New Jersey Devils, who have had that rest, coming in at minus 255 and a total of 5.5. Now, the 5.5 juice to the over at minus 142. I do think we're going to eventually see that move to a 6.5 out there as money keeps coming in on this over. And if you think that they're going to go over this total, you've got to think Grubauer is going to allow those goals to come in by the New Jersey Devils. The Seattle Kraken are in a team that I think of that takes a lot of high danger shots. They don't have that offense, but they've been proving me wrong over the last couple. So maybe this offense has really found its groove. They got that 5-2 win over the Isles last night. Now, when we look at the New Jersey Devils, we know what this offense is able to do. They come out and they're producing those goals each and every game. They have the best power play currently in the league. That power play is clicking at 34.5% of the time. And now when we look at the Seattle Kraken, they don't have a great kill. It's not atrocious, but it's 78.5%. If they take those penalties, we will see the New Jersey Devils get those goals on Grubauer. Now, it's really interesting to see Grubauer versus the Devils actually has played strong, going 5-2 with a 1.99 goals against average and a 920 save percentage. So we have seen the best out of him versus this team. But then when we look at Jacob Markstrom, a goaltender that we trust more on the season because Grubauer has had a shaky season, Markstrom's numbers versus Seattle aren't great, you guys. He's gone 3-2 in 6 games with a 2.68 goals against average and an 892 save percentage. I think if you do believe in the Kraken on the second night of a back-to-back to put some goals up on Jacob Markstrom, you look at this one clearly to go over that total of 5.5. I can't back the Kraken, though. You guys know I didn't back them yesterday. I didn't back them the game before. We saw them lose a couple of games out there. I just don't trust them. They lost those 2 to the Sharks. I think this is a really hard game here in this one on the second night of a back-to-back for them. So I'm going to look at Grubauer to do what he's been doing this season and allow those goals to come in. I'll look at the Devils team total over 3.5 goals. Now, it's kind of juicy on FanDuel currently at minus 220, but I do think it's worth a look. I think you roll with the power play points tonight. And while you could look at the players for the points and do a parlay of those, the power play points are going to get you so much value. Jack Hughes, so his power play points only minus 1 or plus 140. If you look at Dougie Hamilton, I believe it's right around plus 200. So looking at the secondary guys that you think will get the assists on the power play, I do think holds so much value. Now, I'm looking at Timo Meier tonight for a goal. Timo Meier has, let's just double check. I believe it's 199 goals for Timo Meier, but I just don't want to quote you wrong. He's coming up to 200. Yes, he is. 199 goals for Timo Meier. So let's get goal number 400 for him out there for the Devils tonight. That's coming in at plus 210. Just like I said, Grubauer and how he's been playing as of late, he will allow these goals to come in. Now, when we look at Seattle's look-ahead situation, they need to get this win. They have the Rangers on deck on Sunday. We know that Rangers are an absolute mess. We'll talk about them in just a second here. But I do think you look at this team, second night of a back-to-back for those trends to stay solid. Now, the Washington Capitals will take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, the Washington Capitals are a plus 126 underdog. This is the team that's won their last 7 road games. It's a Friday, you guys, and I always say this about a Friday, and that's why I'm not taking the puck line here for the New Jersey Devils. The puck line -1.5 at plus 100. If you think that the Kraken are going to put up some goals as well, I really could see this being a 4-3 game. So the Kraken plus 1.5 at -122, I would rather take on the puck line, especially when it's a Friday. You see these underdogs really get up on a Friday for these games. You have the look ahead situation for teams like the New Jersey Devils and the Toronto Maple Leafs that will be in action in their next game. Actually, the Devils don't play till Sunday, but we have the Toronto Maple Leafs first night of a back-to-back here. Saturday is a big game, especially in Canada, Hockey Night in Canada. That is when I swear these teams show up the most. So looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs, we know they're always going to be a big favorite at home, coming in at -152. Plus 126 on a Washington Capitals team, like I said, that has won their last 7 road games. Yes, no Ovi. But if you guys saw yesterday, he was out there in full practice gear, skating around on that lake, like 17, 18 days post break, and Ovechkin is back out on the ice. Someone has to tell NBA players how different NHL players are built and tell them, when they got a little bit of a sore knee, maybe they can still hit the court. And that's why I don't love betting the NBA as much as I love betting hockey, because you can count on these guys. They'll go back. They'll get stitches. They'll hit the ice again. So, but I regress, you guys. Let's get back out on to this game. Total of 6.5 in this one. Now it's -130 to the under. I hate the juice, but I do think it stays under the total. We know Toronto's trying to play a more defensive lockdown style of game. And the Washington Capitals are really solid at playing that game as well. And I think they will get into that sort of battle here with them. I think you could ult it down to under 5.5. And I know that's a scary situation when we're getting a 6.5 with light juice. Well, it's not light. I don't like juice at -130. If it was -115, okay, I would say that is more light juice there. But at -130, it's looking a little heavy for me. If you take it down to under 5.5 goals, you will get plus money there. Now, the Washington Capitals, Charlie Lindgren has got bad numbers versus Toronto. So we need the best out of him. And we also need this defense to really lock down in front of him and not allow Toronto to put up like 40-something shots. So we've seen games where the Caps have allowed Toronto to put up over 40 shots on Charlie Lindgren. And that's another reason why the stats look kind of off for him versus the Leafs. But that save percentage, .887 versus the Leafs in his career, going a 2-5 in 8 games. So it hasn't been pretty. A 4.40 goals against average. If you think those trends are going to stay true, just jump on the Toronto Maple Leafs here at -152. Yes, it's juicy, but I do think if they win, it's in a tight one. Now, Stolarz is in net tonight. He's faced the Washington Capitals only once. In that one game, he was absolutely fantastic, but limited shots. The Toronto Maple Leafs held them. I believe it was 20 or 22 shots on a net. He allowed those 2 in. So 1.88 goals against average and a save percentage of .917. So Stolarz in the one appearance versus Capitals did play well, but we know these goaltenders can come out once and then get picked apart in that second game. Because the Caps have played so well on the road, in a row with them here. I like the plus money that we're getting on them. Now, we've already seen this matchup. It was a 4-3 win for the Toronto Maple Leafs last time they matched up back in November. And, while we could see it playing out that way, I just think it's more than likely a 3-2 win here for the Caps. Now, is it in overtime? I really do think this one has every ability to go to overtime as well. That overtime bet, let me just get the number because I can't remember off the top of my head, you guys. Apologies for that. All odds are over on FanDuel. The overtime bet in this one is plus 300, and that's another reason. As soon as we're starting to get closer to that plus 310, plus 300 mark, it's definitely the way that you want to go. So because most times we're seeing more of a plus 380 here for those overtimes. Kev, thank you so much for joining me here. Oh, I am so sorry. That is such sad news. My deepest sympathies to you, Kev, today, and to all his loved ones and family. Oh, Kev, that is awful news. And my deepest apologies for your loss. Okay, so when we're looking at an overtime game, when the books start giving you less value right around that plus 300. I think they know they're trying to cover themselves. We're seeing those plus 310s, plus 300 bets cashing for us to go to overtime. And I think this is another one here. So I will take the overtime between the Caps and the Leafs. I think this is a defensive battle, one that probably starts off slow. Now, we have seen the fade against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first period versus the Metro. If you want to look at the Capitals to come out nice and strong in the first period, remember this team is off a home loss to the San Jose Sharks, one I didn't think they were going to lose. They actually lost that in OT 2-1 on Tuesday. So they're going to be ready to take it out here on the Leafs, but I think it's lockdown style. First night of a back-to-back for them as well. They have Montreal on deck on Saturday. And then we see the Leafs have Pittsburgh tomorrow and the Devils on Tuesday. So a couple hard games for them out there. Let's look at the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the New York Rangers. The Pittsburgh Penguins are a plus 162 underdog here versus a New York Rangers team that's an absolute mess. Now, what they're doing to Trouba out there is uncalled for, and I really don't understand management's dislike for Trouba. Now, we have seen him be kind of the player that they pick on, but he's the captain, and I don't understand how they're treating him the way they are. So he has a no trade deal, and they didn't allow him to play today. So he's a healthy scratch out there on the ice, which means they are shopping him. So unless he agrees to a trade with one of the teams that comes out offering that trade for him, they will throw him on waivers and say goodbye to Trouba out there, which is a terrible way. It's an embarrassment for these players to be thrown out on waivers. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. If I was Trouba, I would say, pick one of these teams that's coming after you, because New York's going to do that to you. And then his first game versus New York, when he gets with the team, you guys, we're going to absolutely hammer him against New York, because he will send something to management. What's it called? You guys know what it's called. Yeah, he'll get his revenge on management. So looking at this line, I can't bet the Rangers. This is the captain of their team, and they're treating him this way. This team is not. I don't think this team steps up. If anyone steps up, it's Zibanejad, because we know Zibanejad kind of just goes with his own sort of flow. He has 299 goals. So could he get goal 300 tonight? Step up with Trouba gone, looking to really make an impact here for this team. We could finally see it out of him. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the New York Rangers. It just hasn't been pretty. We know this team is 1-6 straight up in their last 7 games. So they had that loss to the New Jersey Devils, a game they should have played way harder, and 5-1 on Monday. Something is going on. I don't think Trouba is the cause here, but will it make players step up? It will make certain players step up. It's going to make other players really want to quit on this team. I do feel, especially, the players like Chris Kreider, that their names have been thrown around. So I would look at Zibanejad if you want for goal number 300. I am not touching the Rangers for the win. If they win, okay, but I think you got to back the Penguins in this one. This is a hot team right now. They've won their last 4. They're off an overtime win versus the Panthers on Tuesday, 5-4. And it's scary because they've allowed the second most goals in 60 minutes at 3.72 of the league. Their power play is clicking, though, you guys, at 22.7%. If they can come out nice and strong, get some power play goals in this one, especially if they can take dominance in that first period and rattle the Rangers. Will the Rangers fight back? Maybe. We got to think with Trouba out of the lineup, too. There's going to be some line shifting out here, which is the perfect opportunity for the Pittsburgh Penguins to come in the first period and get us that money line bet. So first period money line coming in at plus 128. I am going to take them for over 2.5 goals as well. That's coming in at minus 140. And I think I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on the full game here. Could the Rangers get their skates under them in the second period, third period, pull out that win that they've been dying to get, come together as a team? They could be able to. I just don't think it happens in the first period. You got to remember, this is the Rangers team that steamrolled over the Pittsburgh Penguins back in October, getting that 6-0 win. This team has completely fallen apart over the last month. It's been an absolute mess. I think the locker room has been lost right now. Will Trouba going out of the locker room fix it? I don't know. You guys, I really don't know what is happening behind the scenes. And until we really find out what is happening, if they come out on fire tonight, Trouba was the issue, or these players are playing for their lives on this team and they want to stay in New York, because obviously if management is willing to do this to their captain, and this is their captain, you guys, they're willing to healthy scratch him tonight and shop him, and then tell him if he doesn't agree to a trade deal because he's got a no trade clause that he's going on waivers. It's it's not a good feeling if you're a New York Rangers player, family member, wife. This is a bad day for the New York Rangers. Let's look at the Dallas Stars taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights are a plus 100 underdog, minus 120 here for the Dallas Stars, total of 6.5. Now that 6.5 juice to the under at minus 122. I will take this under the total. I think it's just a better way to go. You look at both of these teams. The Dallas Stars are strong on defense. The Vegas Golden Knights love to put up those goals, but a strong defensive team as well. Jake Ottinger expected in net tonight for the Dallas Stars, while Aiden Hill will be in a net for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, he just did get named one of the goalies for the Four Nations for Canada. So Aiden Hill feeling pretty good about himself today. The Vegas Golden Knights have lost their last two, or won their last two. They did beat the Ducks 4-1 in their last game after shutting out the Edmonton Oilers the night before, 1-0. So this team played a great game on that second night of back-to-back. And yes, it was versus the Anaheim Ducks. They had short travel to go there. They have the Jets on next Thursday. So that's Friday right now. They don't play till next Thursday. They've got a nice break after this one. But it's a road trip, so they'll face the Jets, the Oilers, and the Wild on that road trip starting next week. When we look at the Dallas Stars here, they're off that road loss to the LA Kings 3-2 on Wednesday. This is their last game of a 3-game road trip, so they've split the road trip so far. They're home on Sunday versus the Flames, sitting third in the Central here. They have played so strong versus Vegas. They're 4-1 in their last 5 games versus the Vegas Golden Knights. But the thing is, and my problem here, we are seeing Tyler Seguin has gone out of the lineup. There's going to be some line shifting here for the Dallas Stars, and without him in the lineup, I do think Vegas has, especially with last change here, the opportunity to break those trends of how hard Dallas has played them. I think Vegas has the opportunity of getting the win here at home in the Fortress. So we know how solid this team is at home, especially. I will take the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 100 here. I just think Tyler Seguin has been such a huge impactful player for this team, and he's out. There's no talks on when he will be back. No, 6 to 8 weeks. This is a hip injury that he is out for. So if you're looking at players that I do think will step up in his absence, I always like to go to Wyatt Johnston. He was just clutch for this team last season, and he's been impactful this season as well. You can also look at Jason Robinson. Jack Eichel for the Vegas Golden Knights. I could see him coming out and scoring nice and quick, maybe that first goal for Jack Eichel here. But I do think the best bet is keeping this one under 6.5 with the goaltending. Aiden Hill, Jake Ottinger. I think both of these goaltenders have a really solid night. Okay, the Columbus Blue Jackets are taking on the Vancouver Canucks tonight. Now, Columbus, off a loss last night to the Edmonton Oilers, weren't able to keep it tight. Edmonton steamrolled, getting a 6-3 win. Second night of a back-to-back here for Columbus. Now, Vancouver is an hour behind Edmonton, so they're going to lose an hour traveling out there. They're plus 180 underdogs. We've got minus 220 favorites here for the Vancouver Canucks, who are returning home from a long road trip. That's an automatic fade spot for me. Let's see where we can find some value in this one, though. Total of 6.5, minus 130 to the under, and plus 106 to the over. Would lean to the over before I look at this one to the under. I think with the travel back home off of that road trip here for Vancouver, we see Columbus score some goals. Now, they were able to put up 3 goals last night on Skinner and the Edmonton Oilers. Can they at least get us 3 in this one? I do think so off of this road trip for Vancouver. So their team total over 2.5 goals coming in at minus 112. I think Columbus is worth a look here at plus 1.5 at minus 140 on the puck line. I would sprinkle on the money line. I'd do a half unit if that's what you think. Because if you think they can keep it tight, it's because you think they have every opportunity of winning it. So I would do a half unit on laying or plus 1.5 and laying the minus or the what's the money line again? Plus money line plus 180 and then half a unit on the plus 180 on the money line. So I would look there. We look at Vancouver. So they're off an overtime loss to the Wild 3-2 on Tuesday. Their last 3 games have hit overtime. You got to think how tired their legs are out here. They won 2 of those. So they won the 2 prior to the Wild on the road. This is the first game home off a 6-game road trip. So 6 games on the road, 3 overtime games, 2 overtime wins, 1 overtime loss. It's an automatic fade for me. It's just a matter of finding some value. Like I said, the puck line here, plus 1.5 for Columbus is minus 140. I like better that team total. I think the over 2.5 goals at minus 112 has a better opportunity of hitting. And then I will take not a better opportunity of hitting. It has better value. And then I'll take the money line sprinkle here. So half a unit on both. I just look at this Columbus Blue Jackets team. And yes, second night of a back-to-back. They're at the Jets on Sunday before returning home. 5-game road trip, a long road trip. You look at them, they had to face Calgary in that emotional 3-0 loss. And they went up to Edmonton. They still put up 3 goals on the board, allowed Edmonton to put up 6. Let's just see the goals tonight. If you think Vancouver will put up their share, which I do, I really do think this one has to go over that total. We've got a total of 6.5 at plus 106 to the over. 3-4 style win for one of these teams. Again, I want to look at the money line here for Columbus because I just can't trust Vancouver in this spot. Okay, the Minnesota Wild versus the Anaheim Ducks is the last game on deck. Now we have the Minnesota Wild minus 200 favorite, $2 favorite here on the road versus the Ducks. The Ducks at plus 164. This is a Ducks team that had been covering that puck line until they didn't in that last game out. So they were riding a 10-game puck line cover streak, and then they faced the Vegas Golden Knights, and Vegas did what we didn't want to see. At least I didn't want to see them do. Got 4 goals, and the Ducks were only able to get 1. The Ducks on the puck line are out of range here. Plus 1.5 is minus 160. If you really do feel the Minnesota Wild get up early, lock down hard, laying 1.5 goals here is plus 130. Total 5.5, minus 102 to the under 5.5. Minus 120 to the over. I'm going to take the under 5.5. You guys, I know I'm looking at a lot of unders today, which I know a lot of you hate betting the under. I have mixed feelings. I love a good under, hard-hitting hockey game out there on the ice. But Gustafsson has been so strong for the Minnesota Wild. Could we get a terrifying game in that first period where Kaprizov and Matt Boldy put up 2 goals, and then we roll into that second with a 2-1 even score, and us sitting on the under 5.5? We have the opportunity to, but I do think Gustafsson plays strong. Dostal I like in net. I think defense rules this game. I'm going to take the under 5.5. If you're with me, let me know. Now, the Wild have come in to Anaheim and won the last 8 meetings, and they've won the last 9 overall. So this is a really strong place for them. They won in November 5-2, so they covered that puck line, put it in a high-scoring game. My only fear here is that Dostal doesn't stand on his head, but I'm looking for a lot out of Dostal, especially in that last game. The Ducks defense really has to come to play after allowing Vegas 4 goals, but they allowed Vegas 4 goals. They got 1. It still stayed under a total of 5.5. So I think the 5.5 definitely is in play. Again, no value on the Ducks to keep it tight. Kaprizov would be where I would look for those points tonight for the Minnesota Wild. And if you want to look here at the Ducks, Troy Terry, I do think has the ability to get a point on the board. You know, you're going to get value with him. So, you know, you also look at the Minnesota Wild. They have covered the puck line last 6 on the road off of overtime. That's the situation they're in. They've won their last 4. They got the overtime win on Tuesday at home versus the Vancouver Canucks. So they've been able to come out in their last 6 games in this situation, cover that puck line. If you really believe in the Wild, laying 1.5, it's plus 130. Again, it's a Friday. Fridays scare me for betting these favorites because of any look-ahead situation here. This is the first game on the road for the Minnesota Wild, the first night of a back-to-back as well. They have the Kings on deck. I can't get there with the Wild on the puck line. If you can, the trends do support it. But with the Kings on deck tomorrow, I could see that late third period push out of the Anaheim Ducks. The Wild still winning this one. but in a tight game. So that is where I'm going. This is the last game home for the Anaheim Ducks before they head out on a 4-game road trip, which will kick off on Monday. This team sitting 8th in the Pacific, looking for every single win they can. Happy Friday, Larry. Let's make some freaking money out there. Trevor, let's go. Let's get things done today. Okay, let's jump in to the next. Actually, that is all of our games. You guys, we have hit all of the games. Let's go over here, do a recap. It's the 25-minute mark. Today's show has flown, but only 6 games. Now, the ice is absolutely loaded tomorrow, so make sure you join me back here at noon Eastern. We'll go over each and every single one of these games, picks, props, and predictions, like always, with the recap at the end. You don't want to miss it. So recap time, you guys. Let's get going. 6 games on the ice. The Seattle Kraken versus the New Jersey Devils. You guys know I've been not backing the Seattle Kraken in their last couple, and they've come out nice and strong, winning those last 2. Second night of a back-to-back, not a strong place here for the Seattle Kraken, losing their last 6 on that second night. I'll roll with the New Jersey Devils over 3.5 goals today at -120. It's a Friday. The Dogs are always looking for that upset on a Friday. So I will not take the puck line here for the Devils. Do I expect it? Yeah, but I'm going to stay off it. Timo Meier looking for goal number 200 tonight. Give me Timo Meier for the anytime goal for the New Jersey Devils at +210. Again, the Devils power play is elite. Best in the league right now. Look at the power play points. You're going to get more value for Dougie Hamilton than you will Jack Hughes. And I do think Dougie Hamilton has the ability to get that assist tonight on the power play. So Jack Hughes, Dougie Hamilton, Nico Hischier, and Jasper Bratt would be the players I'd look at for that power play. The Washington Capitals taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I do think this is a lower scoring game. Look for defense to rule this game. You guys, the under 6.5 is a little juicy, but I think it has every ability of cashing in this battle. Charlie Lindgren will need to stand on his head, though, because he doesn't have great numbers versus the Leafs. So we need more out of him. We need that support by the defense. I also think the Capitals have every ability on a Friday to roll into Toronto and get the win. Give me the Capitals with that great plus money. Toronto will play Pittsburgh tomorrow and the Devils on a Tuesday. I think they'll step up more for the Pittsburgh game tomorrow. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers. I can't trust the Rangers with everything that's happening with Trouba, and shame on management for what they are doing to their captain out there. Healthy scratch for Trouba tonight as they are shopping him, it sounds like. And if he does not agree to a trade because he has a no trade clause, he will be put on waivers, which is just terrible for a player, terrible for morale in your locker room. If anyone is going to step up, I do think it would be Mika Zibanejad. He kind of beats to his own drum out there this season. He's coming in for an anytime goal at great plus money. He's got 299 goals, so this would be goal number 300 if he can get it tonight. I think I'm going to look at the Penguins in the money line in the first period, coming in at +128. The Penguins are a team that we've seen get up a lot in the first period and allow these games to go. And the New York Rangers could start coming together as those lines get more used to playing with each other, because there will be some shifting out there. And we do see the Penguins off overtime, which has never been a good situation for them. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit still on the money line. I think they can get over 2.5 goals. Sit the kid for 2+ points tonight, coming in at +280. His anytime goal at +175. I think Sid the Kid can have a solid game here tonight. The Dallas Stars taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. I like Vegas at home. You're going to give me Vegas at +100. I'm going to hit on it, especially without Tyler Sequin in the lineup here for Dallas, out with that hip injury indefinitely. You guys, we will see shifting in their lines, and I do think Vegas with last change has the upper hand. Wyatt Johnson for the point tonight. I do like Jason Robinson as well, but I think this one, and Jack Eichel. So we got 2 from the Stars and Jack Eichel for the Vegas. I think this one stays under that total of 6.5. I would alt, before I forget, the Capitals and Toronto game down to 5.5. I would almost out this one down to 5.5 as well. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Vancouver Canucks. I think Columbus could keep this tight. We're not getting enough value on the puck line +1.5. I don't like the scheduling spot for Vancouver off of this long road trip back home here. The last 3 games of the road trip did go to OT. They lost the last one. They won the 2 prior. They played a lot of hockey out there on the road. They're coming back home, a place where we have seen the Vancouver Canucks struggle, has been at home this season. The team total here for the Columbus Blue Jackets, even though they're on the second night of a back-to-back, over 2.5 at -112 is my favorite bet in this game. And then the Minnesota Wild and the Anaheim Ducks. I think we've got another lower scoring game. I take the under 5.5 with that plus money tonight, you guys. The Minnesota Wild have steamrolled over the Anaheim Ducks, but the Ducks just are coming off a game which Vegas broke their puck line streak. They were 10-0 on the puck line. I do think they will give this a really solid defensive battle out there. Dostal's being great in net, and so is Gustafsson. So the under 5.5, the best bet here. The Wild have the Kings on deck tomorrow. Could the Ducks pull off the upset? I wouldn't see, and this is the thing. The lines are really weird too. The Ducks are only -164. Underdogs, it's only -200 for the Minnesota Wild. When I first looked at this game, I expected the Wild to roll in as almost a $3 favorite. Why are the books only giving us +164 on the Anaheim Ducks, who have lost the last 9 meetings to the Minnesota Wild, and the Wild have won the last 8 in Anaheim? Why? Why aren't they +250 here for us on the Ducks? Not enough value for me to hit on the Ducks at +164, but I do think that is a possibility of them pulling off the upset on this Friday. We know crazy stuff happens out there on the Friday. Yeah, Timo Meier for that anytime goal. Definitely where I have to go. Nicholas, happy Friday to you. So you guys, that is the recap. The players I'm liking the best. You got to circle Timo Meier here tonight for the New Jersey Devils for that goal tonight. Goal number 200 coming in at +210. That's probably my favorite player prop of the night. I look at Seattle with Grubauer in net, and I do think Timo Meier will be able to come out strong. That power play is so strong as well. I'd look at the power play points in that. And then, yeah, I'm not really loving a lot of player props. So Timo Meier, the best one out there, you guys, but looking and juggling. And then look at Sidney Crosby for his points tonight. I think Sidney Crosby can come out big versus the Rangers team. And like I said, if you believe in the Rangers and you believe that Chuba was the problem, maybe Mika Zibanejad does get goal number 300 tonight. So you'll get great plus money for that as well. You guys, I'm going to sprinkle on it because I've been saying it, but not a big bet. You guys, all the best in all your bets. Again, join me here at noon Eastern. Also, make sure you check out my Cup of Joe today. We've been on our roll with college basketball this week. We've been betting a lot of underdogs, actually all underdogs. The underdogs are cashing nicely. 2 of them won straight up. We grabbed both or all 3 this week plus the points. So stay tuned for the Cup of Joe. Also, make sure you get the SportsGrid app. If you don't have it yet, you guys, you're missing out on so much. The SportsGrid app tomorrow will have up my Madden Quickie in college football. It also have up on Sunday my Madden Quickie in the NFL. So you don't want to miss out on those this weekend. But you guys, I will see you here tomorrow, noon Eastern. I wanted to say like what my brother would say. My brother's such a nerd. He loves Batman. And I'm sure he's like, thanks, Joe, for me calling him a nerd in the best way. He loves Batman. He would have said like the same bat time or something crazy like that. But we'll see you here tomorrow at noon. Just know if my brother's watching, Rick, I'm thinking of you. I love you. That's why I said it. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Cheers.